Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is just going to be a casual coffee chat, so there's not going to be a whole lot of really exciting stuff to look at, but it is going to be real time, like I'm behind the camera and talking to you and sharing just like a few things with you. And it's just going to be some thoughts on minimalism. I had a message on my Instagram that inspired this video, and I've been wanting to just kind of connect with you guys and talk to you a little bit about minimalism, shopping, my philosophy, and decluttering and organizing and clothing and perfumes and the whole nine. I just wanted to just chat with you. Thanks for joining me today, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. So I'm basically just going to sip my coffee and talk to you guys about this. So let me just have a little drink of my coffee here. I don't know how long this video is going to be. As many of you guys know, if you watch my channel, you know that I finally got my perfume collection down to only 5 fragrances. And I hate to always make this channel circle back to the concept of perfumes, but perfume is what I was focusing on for so long on this channel. So I know that a lot of the people who watch my videos and who subscribed came to me because of fragrance content, but I know that a larger portion actually came to me because of the decluttering, minimalist, like relaxing kind of vibes and that content. I know that I have probably a larger percentage of people here. That's just what I've seen from like videos that have done well. Most of my videos that took off and did really well were not perfume related. They were decluttering, organizing, minimalism, and living a more simple life and managing stress and stuff like that. So not only that, but I think that even if you are into perfumes or handbags or makeup or shoes or anything like that, I think all of us can relate to wanting a more simple, stress-free life, and minimalism plays such a big part in that. So I had shared a photo on Instagram of my remaining 5 perfumes, and I had mentioned in the story, I said I'm kind of bored of my perfumes at the moment. I was getting ready to go to the gym, and it's been 30, 35, almost 40 degrees Celsius here lately. It's been extremely hot, and all of the perfumes I have left are vanilla perfumes. I don't have any fresh perfumes, and that's been an issue of mine for a while now. I haven't had a good summer freshie. It's not usually the type of fragrance I gravitate toward, that's the thing. So it's just not one that I often shop for, but I now realize that, you know, I think I do need one because it's been so hot lately and I've wanted to wear fragrance, but I just don't want to wear a vanilla perfume. They're just all too deep and all too suffocating for this kind of weather. So I had posted that on my Instagram, and I had a person write me, and I'm not trying to call her out. I don't think she did anything wrong or anything like that. And I'm not trying to be like rude or negative or anything. She wrote me and she said, basically in a nutshell, and I'll paraphrase it, she basically said, "It seems extreme to me that you now only have 5 fragrances. Meanwhile, I have 20, and I bought a lot of them because of your channel." And she also, to paraphrase, basically said that I don't need to try to be perfect and that my choices lately have been extreme. And so I wrote her back and I asked her to clarify, because I said, I don't think I've been extreme in my choices at all. I said I've been very vocal on this channel about my desire to have only 5 perfumes for a long time, and it caused me a lot of strife. It caused a lot of criticism actually on my channel because I couldn't really figure out what I was doing. Was I collecting or was I decluttering? I always wanted to declutter and get down to a small number, but whenever I would do that, people would criticize me. And whenever I would start collecting again, people would criticize me. It was like you could never make everybody happy, but also, more importantly, I didn't really know what I was doing. And week to week, month to month, I would sometimes go on this decluttering spree where I was like, okay, I'm getting back down to my roots. I'm getting back down to minimalism. I'm going to get it back down. And then like a few months later, I would have a whole bunch more perfumes again. There was always this part of me deep down inside that always had this, like I told you guys, this insatiable urge to organize and declutter. And I just knew, like at the heart of my core, I knew that I did not want a huge collection. So getting down to 5 perfumes for me was not extreme. It might have appeared extreme to some people, but for me, it's not. And it really made me think, like, when did we get to this point in the world where having only 5 perfumes is extreme? And on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, I mean, anybody can be an influencer these days. You don't have to have a huge following to start getting free things sent to you. All you have to do is have somewhat of a following and a niched down account, whether you focus on perfume, makeup, skincare. And so anybody can be an influencer. So when you look around, almost every single person that you see who has any kind of a following on their Instagram is collecting things or reviewing things or being sent things. And I think it's personally kind of sad, like that we've come to a point in society where we are so surrounded by and so consumed with the idea of purchasing and advertising. It's really exhausting. And that was another reason I wanted to declutter my collection. I was so tired of working for companies. In the beginning, I would get sent free things, and it was really exciting and exhilarating because as somebody who, if you have a YouTube account or anything like that, getting sent free product and having companies want to send you stuff, you're so excited at first. I think every influencer can relate. You're so excited when you first get companies wanting to give you stuff. That amount of consumerism and constantly getting things sent through your door comes at a price, and it does not make me happy. It's never made me happy. It was exciting for a while, but it was always like I always had so much I had to then find a home for, declutter. I remember one point when it was kind of at its peak for me. I was receiving free perfumes from So Avant-Garde, Twisted Lily, Fragrance By. I'm pretty sure I got something from Max Aroma at some point. Individual companies like Commodity were sending me their perfumes. Kayali's sending me their perfumes. I'm still on Kayali's PR list. You guys should have seen the size of the PR box they sent me for their Vacation in a Bottle collection. It would have been enough just to send a small box with the 4 mini perfumes, which was in there, but they also sent on top of that a gigantic flotation device. I'm not even kidding you guys. A huge flotation device that said Kayali on it, a Kayali beach bag, a Kayali beach towel, a whole bunch of fake passports as if you're going on a trip. And it all came in this huge, huge box that weighed a lot. It makes me feel sick to my stomach how many hundreds or thousands of these are sent out to people, to influencers all the time. And that's a lot of waste because you're kidding yourself if you think that all these influencers keep and use everything they're sent. I personally couldn't even keep and use everything I was sent, and I wasn't sent that much. I was like a relatively smaller influencer. With that came not only the annoyance and the frustration of like having a whole bunch of extra stuff sitting around that I had nowhere to put it, so I had to keep it under my bed, for goodness sakes. On top of it, I knew I wasn't going to use a lot of it. I didn't even like a lot of it. But then also there was this feeling of obligation and pressure because it was sent to you. You felt a pressure that you had to share it on your Instagram or on your YouTube. Otherwise, they wouldn't want to work with you anymore and they wouldn't want to send you any more product. Nobody would even make money on YouTube if it wasn't for consumerism, if it wasn't for advertisement. The entire platform, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and Facebook, the only way they even make money is from advertisements from companies. The whole thing is rooted in consumerism and excessive consumption. And circling back to my earlier point, it's really sad to me that when people see that you only have 5 of something, that's being extreme. And it's really sad to me. The other thing I want to say too is like, yes, I went down this perfume like experience where I was trying new things, collecting. It was fun. It was enjoyable. But when people decide they themselves want to start purchasing, if somebody decides they are happy with 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 perfumes, then that's great if that makes them happy. For me, I've never been happy with a huge collection. Part of me liked it, but a greater part of me wasn't happy having that many. I just always knew I didn't want that many. And so for somebody to write me and say, it seems, she literally said, it seems wrong that you have 5 and I have 20. And then she said it was extreme, that my choices are extreme. And it makes me kind of laugh a little bit because in my opinion, having 50 perfumes or 100 perfumes, or what some of these other channels have, hundreds of perfumes, literally 200, 300, 400 and up, to me, that's extreme. I don't think it's extreme to want to hone in on fewer, better things. But it really is sad that in today's society, it is abnormal to have only 1 or 2 perfumes. It is abnormal to only have 1 blush or 1 foundation. It's abnormal to not have a whole bunch of decor. It's abnormal not to have your countertops cluttered and full of stuff. The normal is for people to be pretty much drowning in stuff and having so many different things and never knowing when enough is enough and never being happy. Always having this insatiable void to fill by finding the next best thing and shopping. And once you get into cycle, it is a hard cycle to break. And I know because I was in it for a while with perfume. And if it wasn't perfume, it was skincare. And if it wasn't skincare, it was shoes or clothing or activewear for the gym. If it wasn't that, it was makeup. Like for a while there, I even was starting to collect makeup, for goodness sakes. Like it was just like I took my shopping addiction or my shopping habit and I just turned it over into something else. And I was consuming content on YouTube and following creators that were influencing and fueling my fire to make me want to purchase more. As I told you guys, I recently went through and unfollowed all of the I don't follow any perfume channels anymore, I don't think. On Instagram, I do follow a few people just because I genuinely like those people, or like I like them, something about them. It's not because I'm trying to find recommendations for perfume, but for the most part, I unfollowed all perfume channels on YouTube. I no longer subscribe to perfume channels. I don't subscribe to makeup channels. This might sound strange, but 6 years ago, you guys, 7 years ago, I didn't even know what Sephora was. I honestly did not even know. 10 years ago, I didn't know the difference between Louis Vuitton and Christian Louboutin. I didn't know, like I'd heard the names, and I had obviously seen the iconic handbags, like probably in passing. I might have seen them in someone's YouTube video or something back in the day, but I didn't really care or know. And, before I knew it, I was like interested in Prada and Gucci and Chanel and all these things. And that was because of social media. There's something to be said for living under a rock. Like if you're not on TikTok and Instagram, you find that you're so much happier with less. I used to have like the cheapest bag ever. It wasn't a high-end designer. It was like maybe $25-$30 bag. It was faux leather, I think. I liked it and it worked for me. And I had that handbag for like, 2 or 3 years, and I never felt the need to upgrade or change it. And I never switched it out based on occasion either. I never was like, oh, I'm going out for dinner, so I'm going to grab a different bag. My first like high-end designer bag was Michael Kors, and that's not even high-end. But for me, that was like a huge deal. Also, Kate Spade, that was like a huge deal when I got my first ever Kate Spade. I also had a Coach bag. That was a huge deal for me. So I didn't really know what Sephora was. I had heard people talk about Sephora in passing, but it wasn't a big deal to me. We don't have a Sephora where I live. I have to drive at least 2.5 hours to find any sort of shopping. And even then, it's not great shopping because I live in like rural Canada. Before I had my YouTube channel, I didn't even have Instagram. I did have Instagram, but it was just for me. I had no followers, and everything I took pictures of and shared was sort of like my own little personal diary. It was my own little like digital diary of my life. I never posted for the intention of like other people to see it. And if other people did, I felt extremely self-conscious and I felt like they were judging. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but back when selfies, if you're young, you won't know this, but when selfies first became a thing, everyone thought it was ridiculous and it was so narcissistic and so self-absorbed. And basically that people were conceited and had huge egos, which kind of makes sense. This whole selfie thing and documenting every little part of your life. And I am guilty of this now too, because I share lots of outfits of the day. I share when I go to the gym. I share what I ate for breakfast. I share little random moments of my day. I'm definitely guilty of this myself as well. But that's my point, is this has become normalized, but it used to not be normal. Like posting for people to see what you're doing and posting photos of yourself and constantly keeping total strangers abreast of your daily goings-ons. That was never normal. And when people used to do that, other people would look at them and kind of roll their eyes and be like, really? Like, you think we care? Like, why are you sharing this? And now we've gone to the other end of the extreme where people idolize and put on a pedestal these influencers. And now you've got filters and AI and all of this stuff. And then on top of that, you're wrapping into that consumerism, non-stop advertisement, non-stop consumerism. So people have gotten used to this flashy, fancy, kind of self-absorbed, more is better, can never have enough, you need the next best thing way of life. And that is what I've been trying to get away from, because I definitely got suckered in after the pandemic hit. You know, when that happened to me, you guys, when I started getting wrapped up in it and I started purchasing from Sephora and I started going down all these rabbit holes and watching beauty channels, and at some point I was justifying blind purchasing $500 bottles of perfume. How insane. Like, it makes me sick to my stomach to think about the amount of money I've spent on perfume. And none of that would have happened if it wasn't for social media, because I just wouldn't have known. You know, I would have like done what I always did, which was find a perfume at my local store that I liked, and that would have been my signature scent, and that would have been that. So I dug my perfumes out here just to show you guys. So these are the 5 that I have. And honestly, I could even declutter even further. Like, the strange thing that happens when you start to declutter, whether it's shoes, clothing, perfumes, whatever it is, especially when you're used to having too many things, the strange thing that happens is when you start to declutter, you notice that day to day, week to week, you can let go of even more. And while it might seem to other people like it's getting more and more extreme, like, oh, now you only have 5, oh my gosh, you only have 2, like, what's going on? This is so extreme. But actually, like I said, back in the day, I had 1 perfume, and that was my signature scent. You know, back in the day, people had a signature scent, and these days, no one has a signature scent because everyone is wearing the same perfume. Everyone has Baccarat Rouge, everyone has Delina, everyone has Mon Guerlain, everyone has a Black Opium. Everyone has, I don't know, Tom Ford Soleil Blanc. I mean, no one smells original anymore. No one has a memorable scent anymore. And that to me is very, very sad. To me, it's much more special when you hone in on that one thing that is particularly you, that is specific to you, makes you feel your best. And people come to know you by that scent. My boyfriend, for example, I've told you guys, he likes cologne a lot, which I'm so grateful for. That's one thing I will always remember about him, is how amazing he smelled when I first met him. And he always continues to smell amazing. And I know that scent. He has his signature scent cologne. He does dabble in other colognes, but for the most part, he wears the same one, and it's his favorite, it's his go-to, and he's been wearing it for years, and it's a really good one. There's something to be said about that. So anyway, these are the 5 perfumes that I have, and I had shared on my Instagram that I said I'm kind of sick of my perfumes, which I kind of am. Like, it's 30 degrees outside. All the perfumes you see sitting here are either sweet or warm or deep or vanillic or cozy. They're not fresh. None of them are fresh. Probably the freshest one I have might be Mon Guerlain, and that's not a very fresh perfume. And I wanted to wear a perfume the other day to the gym, and I could not bring myself. I was like, I can't wear any of these. These are all too warm. I was like, I need a freshie. You know, like I said, just because I decluttered and just because I got down to 5, or same thing with my clothing or my shoes, just because I decluttered doesn't mean I'm not going to shop anymore. People love to judge, and they love to put you in some sort of a box. So if you say that you're a minimalist, or you say that you are decluttering, the second you're not, the second you purchase something, people are like, oh, you're going back again, you're doing it again, you're going to go on this, you're going to start collecting a whole bunch of stuff again. It's like, no, I'm a human. People shop, people purchase things. This is life. Our tastes change. We try new things. I love shopping, you guys. You have no idea. Like, I love fashion. I love clothing. I love shoes. And the unfortunate thing about being on YouTube is that it has given me a complex where now I feel anxious if I think about purchasing something, because I know my audience is going to see, and I start thinking in my head that they're going to think I'm going back on something I said or whatever. Like, if I purchase another perfume and God forbid I have 6 perfumes, well, you're not sticking to what you said you were going to do. And, I thought you were only having 5, and people are unbelievable. So I got down to 5. It has been so liberating and so wonderful. But if I did want to buy a fresh perfume, like the one I'm thinking about is Chanel Chance, the Eau de Parfum. That used to be one of my favorite perfumes. And it's fairly fresh, and it's super sophisticated and luxurious. It's a bright, fruity patchouli. A fruity, musky patchouli with a little bit of vanilla in there as well. And it's actually quite a complex perfume. It smells expensive. I love it. One of my favorites, as you guys know if you watch my channel, one of my all-time favorite perfumes from Chanel. Unfortunately, I don't have any Chanel counters near me, or I would have probably already gone out and gotten it. And if I do, I will either get rid of one I have, or I'll just add it and I'll have 6, and that's okay. Just because I got down to 5 and it feels really good, and I got down to this number and it feels very authentic, and I'm so happy to only have 5, like, I'm no longer overwhelmed. It's so much easier to decide what perfume I'm going to put on when I only have 5 sitting here. I feel like I'm going to put dents in everything. Everything's going to get used. So just because I did that doesn't mean that I might not have 6 or 7 one day, or, but that being said, I'm not in the market to shop for perfumes either, because it's like this habit, or because I'm insatiably hunting for another fragrance, which was what it was like. That's what it was like. I had this insatiable urge, like, every time I went to the perfume counter, every time I went on vacation, I had to go perfume shopping. And it just was so exhausting, especially considering I didn't keep most of them. Like, most of the perfumes that have come in my doors also went out. And the thousands of dollars I spent on those fragrances, you guys, is just honestly disgusting and disturbing. And I have only myself to thank for that, because I searched for recommendations and I purchased because I wanted to. Yeah, so this is where I'm at with my fragrances. I was thinking the other day, I was like, maybe I'll go to Shoppers and I'll buy a perfume. I was thinking about going to Shoppers and buying a freshie, but then I was thinking in my head, I was like, I already know what there is. Like, the freshest ones I can think of are probably Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. There was a new one that came out. I'm not a fan of light blue. I've never been able to wear it. The new green Valentino, which is kind of like a green vanilla, which honestly, that might be okay for me, but I would rather have Chanel. Also Marc Jacobs, like the new Marc Jacobs fragrances, those are always very fresh, but just not really my cup of tea. Yeah, so I kind of already know like what's out, and I know what's there, and I know what's going to happen is I'm going to go there and I'm going to get frustrated smelling all these perfumes, knowing that I've already visited all of them before and none of them are really for me. I would rather just wait. I would rather wait until I have a chance to go to some nice high-end counters. The next time I go traveling, go look at the duty-free shops and go look at, the nicer malls and stuff like that, and pick a perfume there, a freshie. So at least I know, like, the beauty that comes with decluttering, you guys, is it gives you great insight. It's the same thing with your shoes, your handbags, your wardrobe. If you declutter down to what you actually wear, and get rid of all the rest that was just sitting there that you weren't using, it allows you a lot of insight, because then you're able to look and you're able to see where you actually do have gaps in your wardrobe or where you actually do need something. So looking at my perfume collection now, I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. Like, I'm so glad I got down to 5, but I'm like, I very clearly don't have a balanced collection because I have nothing to wear for summer. And the same thing happened to me when I was decluttering my clothing. I was able to, when I was getting rid of stuff, I was able to see, okay, like, I've got down to what I do gravitate toward, but I'm still missing something. Like, there's still something I want that I don't have. And that for me was floral prints. I told you guys I was looking for blue floral and I wanted to wear more floral print in my wardrobe. So it allowed me to realize, like, with clarity what I actually needed. And that's the beautiful thing about decluttering, is everything gets kind of clear. Because you're no longer overwhelmed with decision fatigue, you now can make better choices and you can make more clear choices, and things start to make sense. And then when you do make purchases, you're more likely to make the right purchases because it's not just another thing, another perfume. So yeah, so minimalism isn't about achieving a certain aesthetic. It's not about trying to be perfect. It's not about, I told this girl on Instagram who wrote me and said that she thought my choices lately in regards to decluttering and stuff were extreme. And I thought, this is not extreme at all. Like, if you saw how I lived my life before YouTube, you would be in shock then, because I literally only had one coffee cup, no decor that wasn't necessary. I had really, really minimal stuff. I didn't have any designer items except for like lower end. I think at that point I might have had a Kate Spade bag or something, I'm not even sure. You would have thought that was extreme. It's not about, trying to achieve a certain aesthetic or be perfect. I think these days minimalism is trendy, and that's the thing. People are interested in like a trendy lifestyle, and that's because most of us are on social media. So we know that whatever lifestyle we live, we're going to take photos and document it, right, for people to see. And that really takes away from your decision making, because now you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it because you have an image to maintain. For me, it's not about an image. It's never been about an image. Yes, I like things to be beautiful. I like things to be aesthetically pleasing. I like things to look pretty. But I do it for me. Like, you best believe if I was to get off of Instagram and YouTube tomorrow, nothing about how I live my life now would change. But I would still keep my house the same way. I would still buy the same perfumes that I'm purchasing. I would still wear the same clothing that I'm wearing. I would still keep my house clean all the time, not because I care what people think or because I want it to look good for Instagram, but because I like a clean house. I like an organized house. I do like a little bit of decor. Like, I love, as you see on my dresser, I love flowers and I love candles, and I think it looks very nice, but it also doesn't look overwhelming. I've tried putting like my jewelry box on my dresser, for example, and it just felt like too much. It just felt cluttered to me. Once you get used to sort of a more minimalist way of life, you notice the clutter. If there's something out that feels like it shouldn't be there, you notice it. Whereas I think the opposite is true for people who are used to living in almost a hoarding situation where their things are full to the brim, their closets are full to the brim, they have no clean counter space. They just live in clutter and chaos. If you live like that, that seems normal. And then you get used to it. Like you get desensitized to that environment. But I'm so grateful that my boyfriend is kind of minimalist himself, and he likes things to be clean too. Honestly, you guys, I can't tell you like what a weight it is off my shoulders and how much better I feel when things are clean and organized and there's not clutter around. And honestly, like I've gotten so used to this lifestyle, the way that I clean my house, my routines, the fact that I tidy as I go, I vacuum every single day, I wipe down the countertops every single day, I mop once a week, I wash the bedding once a week, I do the dishes as I go, I do the dishes probably twice a day. We don't have a dishwasher, so I do it by hand. I never let bills accumulate. I always pay the bill as soon as I open it. What else? Just not keeping appliances out on the kitchen counter, putting them away after we're done and then wiping the counter down, as opposed to just letting the NutriBullet live on the counter. It goes in the cupboard after. What else is there? Not leaving coats like over the back of the couch or whatever. Coats always get hung up in the closet when we get home. Shoes always go in the shoe closet. And I've not been like a communist like dictator in my house where I was like ordering people around and being like, you have to do this and like ordering people around. This is just like what we've become accustomed to, because I'd always remind my daughter, please make sure you put this away, please do the dishes when you're done, please make sure you tidy up when you're done. So she's gotten used to it. So like my daughter, who's 14, is very, very good. She can go and cook something or make muffins or whatever, and I will come into the kitchen and I won't even know that she was in there because she cleans up. And this is just the habits, I guess, that we've formed. And because of that, the house never gets out of order. Like it never gets in disarray ever. So yeah, it's really about choices, habits, and getting used to seeing things be clutter-free. Because when you're used to that, then when things do get out of control, you notice it and you put a cap on it pretty quickly. I mean, trust me, if I was trying to live a certain aesthetic, I wouldn't let my dog on the bed. He's a 70-pound German Shepherd. He goes for walks. His paws get dirty. I have had to increase the amount of laundry that I've done in this house a lot since getting him. I've had to increase the amount of cleaning since getting him, and it's fine. But if I was so like picky about having a certain aesthetic and stuff, I wouldn't let him on the bed. But the thing is, there's more important things to like in life than having a perfectly clean home all the time, obviously. If you have small children, it's going to be a little bit different as well. When my daughter was small, we still cleaned up and we still kept the house clean and tidy, but it was just a lot more work. And I had to make peace with the fact that there would be, more things in the living room than I might like. Things might be out of order a little bit more if you have small children. That's just the way it is. But I think you can all agree that at the end of the day, when you go around and you clean up, when your little ones go to bed, that was always my favorite time of day. When my daughter would go to bed, I would go around the house and clean, and I just loved it. I loved that peace and quiet. I know I have friends who do the same thing. When their little ones go to bed, they pour themselves a glass of wine and they go around and they clean house and they just enjoy the quiet and the cleanliness. So there's something to be said for it. But yeah, I definitely don't feel like I'm not trying to keep a certain aesthetic. The term aesthetic has become so intertwined with social media. People do it because of social media. But the truth is, I've been living like this with these motivations and these philosophies for so long. It's just that the pandemic and perfume and consumerism and discovering Sephora and starting to follow influencers really threw me for a loop, and I developed some bad habits. And yeah, so that's why I'm trying to get back to my minimalist roots again. And I really do feel like I am. I'm feeling pretty good and pretty happy about how things are right now. So looking at my closet now, for example, I was able to get rid of a lot of things. Like I decluttered my shorts by more than half. Over the last 6 months, I've gotten rid of all my jeans, except I only have one pair. My t-shirts are pretty much the same because I love my long sleeve t-shirts. They're such a wardrobe staple for me. I wear them all the time. Cardigans, I have gotten a couple more cardigans. So like, even though I've been decluttering, doesn't mean I'm still always going to shop. Like I'm still always going to look at things, you guys. I love fashion. And the thing is too, like, I feel like you always are looking for something that's going to be a great thing for your wardrobe. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I've been looking for a really good white cropped cardigan that I could wear with my dresses because I don't like having bare arms. I always get cold. And my last cardigan that I had that was the most perfect lightweight crew neck, I guess hip bone length cardigan, that one just got misshapen and wore out because I wore it so much. So I've been on the hunt for that type of cardigan. So I have a couple here that are from Aritzia. I don't know if they're quite right. I'm still within the return period, so I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them or not. And then in terms of like dresses and skirts, I do have a couple more dresses in here that I didn't have like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago because I've been looking for florals. But yeah, other than that, like my dresses have stayed pretty much the same, but it's just an example of how, like, yes, you want to keep a small wardrobe, but always like it's always going to be probably changing because we always change and our tastes change and we get older and our preferences change and your aesthetic changes and how you feel best about yourself. Like, for example, I don't have club dresses. Like, I used to have a lot of like clubby dresses, but of course I don't go to clubs. I did that when I was younger, but I don't anymore. So it's a part of my wardrobe I don't really need. So I've gotten rid of any dresses that I had that were like sort of clubby. They're just not me anymore. I might still like them and I might still look nice in them, but they're not something I'm going to put on. So we're always changing and growing and evolving as people. We're always finding new things that are more us that we like better. And then of course you just out with the old and in with the new, and hopefully responsibly find a place for your old stuff. Personally, you guys, I think it's really sad that our youth of today are so heavily immersed in TikTok, and a lot of these huge TikTok like beauty gurus, and I don't want to call anyone out, but there's a couple of them that are really, really big. And in my opinion, like some of them, I don't even like their personalities. Like I find them actually genuinely hard to watch. And it boggles my mind to think, how did they get so popular? Like they've got millions of followers, their TikToks get millions of views. They get so much PR thrown at them. It's just unreal. It's sickening. It's disgusting. Their PR unboxings are like wall to wall, literally, of boxes. It takes like 5 hours to open up all the boxes that they get in a monthly basis. And the amount of waste generated, the fuel that it took to fly all of those things to them, you hope that they're recycling. I know that not everybody is being responsible about the way that they pass things on. Like a lot of people probably just toss them, or they end up all at a Salvation Army or Value Village or something where honestly they're already overflowing, and a lot of it doesn't even see the light of day. A lot of it can't even be put on the floor because they're just so overwhelmed with stuff. And I didn't like being part of that. I really didn't like it. I don't like when I have tons of stuff I have to recycle or go through, or when I feel like a lot of it is going to end up in a landfill, or it's just unnecessary. Like I said, I like shopping. I will always shop. I love looking at Zara, Abercrombie. What else? I used to love shopping at Nordstrom a lot. I feel like that's how you find things, right? Like a lot of the best pieces in my wardrobe are things I discovered years ago. Like I have some pieces in my wardrobe that I've literally had for like 7 or 8 years or longer, 10 years almost. And they were such great pieces that I never would have found had I not been shopping, had I not been looking, right? So yeah, so I think that it's totally fine, and I think it's actually very healthy to look around and look at things and see if there's something that strikes your fancy. Like you never know if you're going to find that perfect piece for you unless you look, right? I was able to sell my white pair of heels that was in here. And so I still don't have a white kitten heel. That's something that I'm kind of looking for, but it's not really an essential either. So maybe I'll realize I can live without it, but it is an area of my wardrobe that I wish I had, is like a white kitten heel. But yeah, so my shoes are pretty good. Like there's nothing in my shoe life that I feel like I need. I really have no wants or needs in my shoe wardrobe at the moment besides some sort of a kitten heel. Yeah, pretty happy with that. But yeah, clothing is, I would say clothing is my weak spot. I love discovering new wonderful pieces, but then it's about finding like what pieces are the most you, what pieces you feel flatter you the most and that you're actually going to reach for the most, and letting go of the ones that you don't reach for. You guys have probably heard that we only wear 20% of our clothing 80% of the time, and the other 80% of our clothing we wear 20% of the time. And so that's a really good exercise if you are looking for a way to declutter your closet, is go through the stuff you have and ask yourself, is this part of my 20% or part of my 80%? And we do have some pieces that are part of our 80% that even though you don't wear them very often, they're still essential because they're an occasion piece, or it's if you go out for dinner or you have a wedding to go to, or if it's really cold out or something like that. So you might not wear it all the time, but it's still essential. So I don't think you should declutter the 80%, but it's worth asking yourself the question, why is this in my 80%? Is it because it's just an occasional thing, or is it because I just really never wear it and I don't feel good in it? It's actually something really fun to do that I kind of want to do. I kind of want to go through my wardrobe and make piles, my 20% and my 80%. The 20% is stuff that you instantly keep and put right back in your closet. And then the other 80%, you can make 2 piles. Why is it 80%? 80% because I don't like it and don't feel good in it and never wear it, or 80% because it's a once in a while kind of thing, but I do like it and I do feel good in it. And that's a really good way to whittle down your wardrobe. So that was it for today's video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on minimalism, decluttering, and the whole 9 today. And hopefully it wasn't too boring. I feel like I probably rambled a little bit, but yeah, thanks for being here with me today, and I'll see you all very soon in my next one. Bye for now.